Hello, hello. Today we have Samantha Hoilett, sales messaging strategist and launch copywriter, joining us to share her scaling story. Welcome, Samantha. And please let us know what you do. So what do you do today? What does your business look like today? And obviously introduce yourself and say hi to the peoples.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, my name is Samantha Hoilett. Like Andrea said, I'm a launch copywriter and sales messaging strategist. And yeah, I started where I am now is that mostly I do sales messaging strategy, which is basically how to talk about your offer in a way that sells beyond just telling people what it is and what's included. Because, to really sell to people, we have to really connect to who they are, where they are now, where they want to be, and how your offer helps them get there. And so I kind of help people really flesh that out. And I also do some done-for-you copy, specifically like launch copy, so emails, sales pages, waitlist pages, all of that fun stuff. And yeah, just I really love helping clients get their offer out there and into the hands of more clients.
Let me ask you, before we get into your journey, because obviously we're going to get into your journey, but for a lot of people listening to this are service providers who are transitioning from done for you to something else. And a common thing that happens along this journey is that now all of a sudden you have to quote unquote market and have your messaging down, right? Because now you need to be in front of more eyeballs, things like that, because it's not just a few clients, that you switch out every so often. So for that specific audience, a couple of things. One is, where do you see, or maybe do you see, or do you have suggestions on where you see a lot of people get stuck, and maybe some very foundational things that they can think about when they're okay, now I need to actually start this messaging and marketing journey. What do I do now? Because it's totally different from what they were doing before.
Yeah, for sure. Because I feel I get that, because when I started as a copywriter, I was very much just here's my services, here's how I help, you either want it or you don't. And honestly, it's funny because, when I started shifting into consulting, I was worried more focused on my messaging, where I was well, how am I going to communicate that a call is really valuable? Or I even had a program for a while. Why is my program really valuable? And I feel it's really thinking about where your client is right now. Almost think about a day in their life and think about almost the most dramatic day in their life, a movie kind of day where everything happens or everything's hard, nothing's working. What are the different challenges and questions that your dream client is asking themselves? And start there, and then kind of think about, how can I communicate that I can help solve that problem? I think that it's really easy. A lot of people are very quick to focus on, the desires and the inspirational side of things. But the thing with that is that not talking about the problem, it really lacks urgency, because desires can wait, but problems can't. So really think about what problems are you solving for your clients, and start there.
What would you say to somebody who says, well, I don't want to be negative, or I don't want to make people feel bad about their problems?
Ooh, yeah. I mean, I think it's all about how you talk about it, right? At some point, it's all about how you talk about it, because there's a difference between you don't have this and you're wrong for it, or you're bad for it, or something like that, versus hey, I see that you're trying to do this, but here's what you're missing, or here's how we can make that next step happen for you faster, right? So I think it's really about tone and how you address it.
Also, my dog is barking. He agrees with you. He's yes.
I love it.
I like a
dog
happy
approval.
This is a very family-friendly podcast. All the animals are here. I can't control him. He's very demanding. So let's back up and talk about when you started. So when did you start your journey? When was it? And what were you doing when you started as an entrepreneur? And also, you're a fellow person who is an American who lives abroad. So this is my new obsession, is talking to people like me, since now I'm one of these people.
Yeah, for sure. So I had a job in DC, USA, and that's where I'm from. And in 2018, I wanted to quit my job anyway. It wasn't lighting me up. And my husband also wanted a change, and he actually applied for a job in Uganda. And it was funny because he was oh, it's just a 6-month contract. I can just go and come back. And I was no, I think I want to go with you. Let's do it. And so while we were there, I decided, you know what, this is a great time to try to start a business. Like, you know, risk is low. I have all this time, no distractions, like, and it ended up being like, yeah, where I ended up starting my business. And that was back in 2018.
Isn't it crazy? I
So
started in 2019. I'm like, I can't believe it's been this long.
crazy.
Like,
I know. I'm like, wait, I didn't even like, I flew past my 5-year anniversary. I didn't even think about it.
we need to
But
celebrate.
yeah,
We
so
need to have a party.
I know, right? So, all I knew is that it's kind of like, I don't have one of those like inspiring stories where like, oh, like I wanted to like change the world with writing. Like I was just like, I don't know, I love to write. I loved it. I love like the research side and the strategy side. Like I thought that maybe I would work in like environmental, like NGO work, like charity work. So I've always been good at writing, and it's always been a skill that I've enjoyed using. So I was like, maybe I can find a way to use that for my business. And yeah, now I love it. So at first it was just like content writing and like blog writing. And then I was like, no, I think I really prefer when there's like a real goal, like not that blogs don't have a goal, but like really like sales oriented, like, so that's when I got certified as a copywriter. And then it kind of just like kept evolving from there.
So in this evolution, because you went from writing copy to coaching and strategy and now kind of a mixture of things. So if we go back to maybe your first evolution, can you talk about one is how you knew it was time to evolve? So I think this is important, right? Because a lot of people, they kind of go and then they get into this like rut or like, you know, they don't really know what to do from there. So in your case, how did you know it was time?
Ooh, it's such a good question.
We dig deep on this podcast.
Yes, I love it. I'm trying to think. I feel like I just knew that my skills were there. And I think there's a level of like self-belief and trust you have to have, like, you know, and also does taking action to get, like, for me, I got certified. So I like, you know, took like a 20-hour course on copywriting, and that also kind of built my self-belief too, right? Because now it was like, okay, well, not only do I believe that I'm good, but I've been certified, so now I know I'm good. And yeah, just like, I think also having that mental shift of like, oh, I can actually make my business real. That was like my very first shift.
That's a good
because
point,
at first,
right? Because at first you're
yeah,
like, okay, I'm going to do this. And like, I just want to make some money and not be at a job anymore. And like, and then you're
for
like, oh,
sure.
wait, like it is true. That's almost your first shift of like, wait, like I have a real business. Like, let me treat it like that. Right. And like move
Yeah,
into that role.
right. I think that's a huge first shift of like, oh, I should think more long term, or more like even just bigger about what I'm capable of and what I want this business to do. And then I think the second shift is thinking about like, first you're like, okay, it's possible for me to grow a business. And I think the second shift is, oh, I can build a business my way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the
Yes.
second shift where you're
Yes.
like, oh, I don't have to do everything like that I'm seeing online. I don't have to follow, you know, XYZ person strategy to a T. I can actually make this work. And I think that even where I am now in my business, it's like, you know, I've gone back and forth between like being a done for you copywriter to just doing consulting to now doing both. It's like never feel like you are like stuck.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a
Mm-hmm.
beautiful thing about online business too.
Yeah. And it sounds to me when I'm listening to you that maybe it has a lot to do with building confidence and trust in yourself. And that seemed to have been key.
Yeah. And the thing is like, I do believe that confidence comes from a combination of time and client wins, like just like seeing like, oh, like I'm actually getting results from my clients. Oh, they're seeing sales. Oh, this is working. That's a huge confidence booster. But yeah, being able to also trust yourself and know that, okay, even if something goes wrong or something doesn't go the way you expected, that it's not a reflection of you. And to like kind of keep, yeah, like it's not, being able to detach from that is like really massive.
That's true, because then it allows you the freedom and the flexibility to experiment and to try things and to not be like,
Right.
this is my identity because this is the thing that I offer and people are going to think things of me if I don't actually, you know, continue on this path. because it's funny because you were like, oh yeah, I had a program. And then I was like, oh, I haven't seen you talking about, like, I didn't even realize you don't do the program anymore and you moved on to other things. So, so yeah, like it's like nobody pays as much attention to us as we think, right? Like we're the ones that are the most critical, the most everything. So I think that on the outside, like as an outsider, like seeing other people, like I get excited when people are shifting. I'm like, oh, cool, they're doing this new thing. Whereas maybe like if you're the one doing it, you can think, oh, people know that I failed, or like, you know what I mean, or like come up with all these stories and whatnot. So it is a really it's a really important skill to do all of this internal mindset work and to grow the confidence and to really step into that and own the space and to like alongside allowing yourself permission to experiment and play, you know, because that's where the fun ideas come. And that's when you actually get to be, when you actually become quote unquote successful or you're happy with what you're doing, was when you're like, oh, let me play, let me do this and see what sticks and like kind of treat it like that, you know? So I think that's a really important point.
Yeah. And I think that like people, it's really easy to have like an iron grip on your business. Like I know when I started, it was like, I have to spend every waking moment thinking about my business, working on my business, fixing it. Like if I'm not doing that, then I'm not taking it seriously enough. And again, like it comes with time, but you can start to talk yourself through it and be like, no, like you are just recreating all the horrible parts of your 9-to-5 job. You are just taking all these patterns that and just copy pasting them into your business, and it's making your business suck. And like if you want to be, again, like shifting to that long-term mindset of like, if I really want to do this for the long run, I cannot spend all this time beating myself up. I just need to think about like, what else can I do to keep moving like forward?
Yeah. And was there something in particular that helped you with that mindset shift, or was it really just time and experience or a combination?
Ooh, I definitely invested in a lot of coaching. I feel like, you know, just being able to talk through to somebody who is paying attention to your business, like business can be very lonely. Speaking of being an American abroad, like
oh, and you're not in Uganda anymore. Let's mention that. Where do you live now?
Right. Yeah. So in 2021, I moved to Amman, Jordan. Yeah, so that's where I live now. So it's been almost 3 years here.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, I think that being a business owner by itself can be isolating because like the people around you don't necessarily get it. Even if they support you, it's hard to understand. Right. And then being abroad is like another layer. And yeah, I think having coaching and a space to like talk to somebody about here's what's going on, here's where I'm stuck, what do I do? That was massive for me too.
Yeah, and to normalize it too. Like I hear a lot from my clients like, oh, or like when other people talk about the struggles they're having, like, oh, I thought I was dealing with this. And then you realize like, no, it's everybody. Like every single person is dealing with very similar things along this journey. And I think that's also very reassuring as well. And then when you've gone through something that somebody else is struggling with and you get to help them, you're like, oh, wait, like, you know, or like when I see clients do that, it makes me like, I'm like a proud mama bear who's like, oh, yay, like I see you growing. I see it, you know, so it's really so that's part of why it's really cool to be in community, you know, is to both see that, yes, like you get the help, you see other people are struggling with the same things and you all get to share and support each other. And it just feels so much better that way, you know, and you're like, okay, like it's not just what we see on Instagram, you know, there's things happening in the background.
For sure. And even if like you're not in a season right now where coaching is like a good fit for you, like just getting out into the DMs and like replying to people's stories, saying hi, oh, your dog is cute. I know I feel that way about your stories all the time, Andrea. So like, yeah, just like, I think also like when I go on Instagram, I feel like I'm talking to my friends and like, yeah, am I like trying to like find my next client? Absolutely. But like, I just feel like I'm still in community with other business owners. And like, that really helps too, because you just feel like I'm talking to people who get it. And yeah, we're all just kind of like building our businesses and it's awesome.
Yeah, I feel like and also doing like podcast interviews, I'm like, oh, I get to like this is the first time we've talked, like we've been connected on Instagram forever. And if like, I've done like a program of you, I've done like things with you like throughout the years. And this is the first time or like one of the first times that we've like chatted. I'm like, oh, like now she's my best friend. And now like I know her, like so
Same.
so yeah, so it's cool. And also I like what you said about Instagram, because I feel like a lot of people see it as like, I need to go on there to get clients. And like they create this I don't know, this like force field around it, that it's like not a place for fun, that's a place like to get clients. And although that's true, it sounds like you treating it also as a place for community also helps you to get these clients, because you're showing up in this energy of fun and enjoying yourself on there.
Yeah, and I think that like when we run a business online, again, like when I first started out, I was like, oh, like this is great. I don't have to talk to anybody. Like I don't have to like have coworkers or like, whatever. Like I'm just here to like sign clients, like you said. And like you kind of realize that, when I look at even the last 10 clients I had, they were all people who maybe came from like referrals, or like, oh, I heard about you, or like, oh, I watched your story about like this travel place that you went, and then I stayed like connected to you. So yeah, like truly remembering at the end of the day, like you're always connecting with another person, and that can be such an important and powerful starting point for a potential relationship in the future. Not that it needs to be super calculated, but just remembering that your business is built on relationships and with other people. And whether you whether you create those relationships through your content or through referrals or like connections, it doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, like people fuel your business. So I think keeping that in mind too. Because again, when I started out, I was like, yay, I don't have to talk to anybody. Like this is my introvert heart is so happy.
Same.
So yeah.
Yeah. Yes, I 100% agree with you. And it's funny too, because you think about like for instance, even I think it was either today or yesterday, like on Thread, somebody was looking for like a messaging or launch person, I remember, and I like tagged you in it, I was like, yeah, she does that. So it's like making these authentic and real connections with people, and you're like, oh yeah, this is my friend. Yeah, like you like happily refer them because you know that they're good people. So really just treating everything like fun, I think is amazing. So I want to shift a little bit into so if let's talk about me. This is all about me for a second. So it took me, in the service provider realm, I kind of knew what I was like, what I wanted to do, who I wanted to serve, like almost immediately. And then the coaching realm, it took me a long time to find like the thing that lights me up and gets me excited. And beyond just like, I started out being very general, like business coaching. And then I was like, okay, let me talk about scaling. And then it like kind of clicked all together like not that long ago. And I was like, no, like it's actually about pivoting. And like, that's the thing that like lights me up and helping people to make these new offer suites and like all these things that are aligned and like blah, blah, blah. So like, but it took me what felt like ages and like practice and, just like, okay, let me go out there and find the thing to find like my thing. That's like my messaging kind of focuses around. So I'm curious from your standpoint as like a messaging expert type person. I don't know, like what are either like maybe in your own journey or in your thoughts about like, is that a normal path? Like what different things do you see when people come and be like, okay, like who am I? Like what is the thing that I want to focus on? That was a really vague question. And I was like, but like, I didn't really have a question at the beginning when I started, but I feel like there's something in there that like you can speak to.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, messaging is one of those things that it's so personal that the same way that we all have varied journeys and everything else, I feel like everyone's on their own like messaging journey. For some people, it's a light bulb moment. Like they have one client who it's just like, oh, like I just loved helping them. I want to help all my clients do that. And for other people, it's like, well, no, I can help so many people do so many different things. Like, how do I narrow it down?
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't think there's a wrong way to do it. And I think the biggest thing is to just like stay in motion. Like I worry for my clients, where I worry for people who just stay like stuck on their messaging. And it's like, no, like get out there, like just start like saying whatever, like say something. Like I'd rather you like show up messy with like unclear messaging so that you can start to figure out what that message is versus like, oh, I'm just going to like, tinker with the same 2 words over and over in a Google Doc and not make any sales and not get any closer to like the clarity that you like, or that light bulb moment that you really need. So for me, it's like, yes, absolutely. Like, I think messaging is one of those things that can accelerate your success. Like once you have, you know, like you said, for example, you figured out what you want to do. Okay, great. Now we could look at like going deeper into your messaging.
Right.
But like first find that clarity for yourself, feel it in yourself. Like, this is exciting. This is what I want to do. I could talk about this for hours. And then it's like, okay, maybe I can worry about like actually like getting it right, so to speak.
Or like talking about it in a way that that like resonates with your people so they know how amazing you are, right?
Right.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. So is it helpful? So let's say if somebody is what is the point where they should talk to you? Like, should they already have an idea, or like, do you help to pull it out?
Yeah, I think so long as you have an offer, even if it's like, I have a one-on-one coaching with like 6 calls, like even if you just have that, it's like, okay, we are ready to take a look at it. If you feel like, again, like, you know who your audience is and you know who your offer is, that's where we can start to connect the dot between the two. And I think that's like the gap that messaging really fills, because a lot of people are great at connecting to their audience, which means that you're creating a lot of inspirational content. People say, oh, I love you, or like, oh, like, I love your profile and your content, but they don't buy. And then people like really selling their offer. Here's what it is and what's included and why you need it. But they're not like connecting the dot between the client and the offer and really showing them like, here's how this offer will change your life. Here's how this offer will grow your business, like, etc.
That's such an important point. And it's so interesting because one can be really amazing at what you do, right? And you just like are not, and it's like, and it can even be just like the small tweaks that make the biggest difference in connecting with people and having them like actually envision themselves in your offer and envision themselves like, oh yeah, this is the person that can help me. Right? Like, is that what you find?
For sure. And I think like a huge light bulb moment for me was when I shifted from doing just done for you copy to offering messaging consults. Because I was like, okay, like, firstly, I was like, what? People will pay for just a call with me? That's crazy. And then also I was like, well, how do I show them that this call is just as valuable as me writing copy for them? And it was funny because I basically just took myself through my own messaging framework to be like, how do I actually talk about this? And I booked 4 in my first week of doing it. And I was like, oh, light bulb moment.
Is that when you decided like, this is my thing? Like, this is what I want to be known for?
Yeah. And also just like, I just know that the best copy happens when you have bold messaging, like, you know, fueling all of it.
Very fun. Very interesting. In your own personal journey, what are some of the biggest obstacles that you've had to overcome, that you've done in growing your business?
Ooh, so many. Business is just perpetual that way, isn't it? Like,
it is, yes.
So many. I feel like definitely that first hurdle of like shifting from done for you copy to consulting and just feeling like almost worthy. Like, will people actually pay me to not? I think as a service provider, it's hard to make that jump of like, well, when I'm a service provider, I can just literally hand them done for you, finished, ready to go, deliverable. Whereas with coaching or consulting, you're kind of like, okay, I'm going to check in next week and hopefully they've made some progress. Like, so feeling like it's just a big shift in like how you see the value of your work, I think.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Because it's not results, like you said, like you're not giving them like, here's your thing, like it's done. It's
right.
And it's harder to see the transformation. And also you have to step away from owning the results.
Yeah, like really detaching. For sure. Because like, again, like at least as a copywriter, it was like, I'm going to write this to absolute perfection. I know that every word is like perfect and strategized to a T. Like there's nothing you can, you can't tell me anything. This is like done, ready to go. Versus, yeah, like you said, it's you have to also release your expectations of like, people get value out of working with you in a different way now and being okay with that.
So
that was definitely one of them for sure.
Very cool. I think very common as well. And so I'm glad that you voiced that to be like, okay, like, and especially if people are thinking about it, then they know, like, okay, this is what I have to think about now. Like, let me prepare myself. So it's a really good point. The other thing is, so if we go back to the example of you letting your program go, how did you personally make that decision of, okay, like I invested all of this time, like I created this thing, and now I'm going to move on from it and do something else?
Mm. I would say it's on a hiatus. It's not gone
Okay,
forever.
okay, okay. Yeah,
But
yeah.
I
Yeah.
did, but I did just, yeah, I started to feel like, uh, to be honest, like what we're talking about, where, I had a program where it was like a portal and calls and a community, and people were kind of showing up in the community and they were kind of showing up to the calls, and I was like, oh, like, is it me or is it them? And like when I did reach out to everybody, they were like, oh no, I love the program. But I was just like, oh, but they're not like checking in. They're not like asking questions. So they must like not like it. And so I think I was getting in my own head, to be honest, of like, oh, like something's broken. And again, realizing that people get value out of it in different ways. Like when I checked the portal, people had worked through it. I could see them implementing it on their socials. So like things were working. Um, but yeah, I think that also I like to travel a lot, and having a weekly call on my program calendar just ended up being a lot for me. So yeah, these are things that, again, like I'm like, cool, it's on a hiatus. I'll bring it back maybe in a different form that aligns to like my goals. And it goes back to that shift we were talking about you can build a program your way. I built a program based on what I saw around me, which was like I
Yes.
said, a weekly call, and that
Right.
just didn't work for me. I'm like, I'm going to Egypt this weekend. Like there's always something, and I know that I'm going to rebuild it to make it work for me.
Yeah, I think this is really important as well because like in my case, one of the first group programs I launched was we met twice a week for 4 weeks and the end. And I didn't get to see or be involved deeply in the transformation. And I was like, no, but I don't like this. Like I don't just want to give people information, like I want to be like there. Like I want to be like, like in the trenches and providing deep work. And then I also had, and so this means that I don't have very much in terms of like really low ticket, because I'm like, no, like, but I don't like it. So it's like, so I could say, right, that, oh no, I'm doing a disservice. Like if people like blah, 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 or like, so, or people might say like, oh, like their only way to work with her is to like do this, like, so, so much together. And the answer is like, yes, because that's how I work best, and like, that's what I enjoy the most. So it sounds like in your case as well, it sounds like maybe you lost the passion for it because you like to see, like maybe you also like to go deeper, or like there's like things that like you weren't getting that were also like making it fun for you to keep this program going. So
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
really important too to give yourself permission to be like, okay, like this isn't like, I'm gonna restructure, I'm gonna think about it, I'm gonna sit on it, like what I have is amazing. And also I use a lot of the material that I created before, like in my 6 month like group coaching that I'm doing now. So like nothing is lost. Right, like the work is not for
I
nothing.
think that's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's such a huge thing to remember is like, I mean, I felt that way when I first, closed the doors, where I was like, oh, like what a huge, like, you know, library of stuff I'm just sitting on now. And it's like, no, well, I just like, if a client needs a lesson, I'm like, oh, here you go. I have a whole like training on that. Like, no problem. It's already made. So yeah, like nothing goes to waste in your business, especially when you run an online business. You can always find ways to like repurpose or like use, or even just like maybe I'll use everything again later. Like nothing, like you said, nothing's lost.
Yeah, and I like that you actually, and it takes courage too to make that shift and to make that transition and to have trust in yourself that, okay, I'm not doing this thing now and I've been almost like relying on this thing for so long, or it's been the thing that I'm known for or talk about, and you're just like, it doesn't feel good anymore. So now I'm going to do something else. So I think that that's really cool. Your biggest tip. So somebody is transitioning, they want to pivot, they want to do something new. From your experience, what is just like the biggest thing that you could advise them on?
I think just making a decision and sticking with it for like 3 months, like almost like not letting yourself, second guess or question or like you can like tweak it, but like stick with it for 3 months. And I know that that can sound like an eternity if like, well, if something's not working, I don't want it to not work for 3 months. But the thing is if you stick with it, then you encourage yourself to look deeper and troubleshoot and like experiment versus like, okay, I'm just going to switch directions entirely. And then you're really starting from zero. And like, you know, for example, I just launched not launched, but I opened a new launch service. And my goal is to promote it for 3 months. And it's like, we're going to see how it goes. I'm not judging myself. I'm not like, there's no pressure. It's like, this is a trial period. Like you, again, like the ability to be neutral as you try something new. It just makes your work a lot more fun because you're not criticizing yourself constantly or like looking for reasons it's not working. You're just like, I'm on this train. I'm not getting off for 3 months.
Being like having that conviction. Yeah.
Yes.
And I like that it's like this like 90-day, no questions asked. Like, we'll see what happens after that. But for 3 months, like, there's no questions. Like, period. This is what I'm doing. The end.
Yeah. Like, I feel like sometimes I tell myself, like, it's funny because we always say, oh, don't repeat like patterns from your job. But sometimes I think about if I was like working in a business and I wasn't the boss. If I was working in a business and the boss said, try this for 3 months, you wouldn't be like going to your boss every day being like, it didn't work today. Like you would just like do your job.
Yeah. Right.
And I feel like sometimes it's good to have that energy of like the boss said 3 months, like almost like talking to yourself that way of like, it's just the work that has to get done and you can check back in like later.
Yeah. And I really love too, like the removing the judgment, the removing the pressure and just like digging deeper, giving yourself time. And the other thing too is that people need to get to know you for something.
Yes.
And you need to build this reputation because if you just like talk about it twice, like nobody's going to know about it. So you want to be like the person, you know, who does this thing. And
for sure.
You can't do that
I call
overnight.
it like, I call it messaging momentum. Like you have to actually build it up. Like, or I think of like revving like an engine of like a lawnmower where you really just got to like yank it a few times to get it going. Like it does take time. And if you are pivoting your entire brand and audience, expect it to take longer. If you're introducing a new offer, again, like 1 to 3 months. And yeah, like letting people, and this is again where messaging is helpful is like, well, how do I talk about the same thing for 3 months?
Right.
When you're clear on your messaging, it's really easy actually.
When you have all these different, when you join a program of Samantha's and she gives you 30 different ways to talk about it that you get to rotate through. Yes.
That's right.
Yes. It really helps to have all those different, to really like dive deep and pick out all these different angles and things and to talk about is really helpful in that case. So yes, amazing. So let everybody know where they can find you and stay in touch with you. If you have any gifts or final parting words, the stage is yours.
Ooh, parting words is, just say hi on Instagram. Like I said, I love chatting with people. I'm on Instagram at samanthahoilett.writes, and I send out a weekly email called the Bold Messaging Diaries. And this is where I share tips and tricks on like your launch, your copy, your messaging, how to sell your offer. And yeah.
Beautiful. And your email is probably one of like 3 or maybe 4 that I look forward to reading. So of course it's always from the copywriter, which people know how to write. So like, so yes, it's useful
Huge
and
compliment.
interesting.
Thank you.
So
thank you.
Good job with your skills.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here and for sharing your wisdom with everybody.
Thank you too. And thanks everybody.